Hi, I'm Coach MK, founder of the Fitness Protection Program. I'm a run coach, not a life coach. We're never really talking about the running. Running is the tool. It's the conduit we use to examine the world we live in, as well as its impact on our own lives and the lives of the people around us. How we react to certain people and to certain stories tells us a lot about how we view ourselves. I'm committed to the thoughtful, intentional exploration of the importance of running so that no one discounts their own badassery, ever. Final note, this podcast is geared towards every runner who won't lose their home, livelihood, or health insurance if they show up to the corral with a hangover. Not that I'm encouraging you to do that, just saying. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the Fitness Protection Podcast.
It's time to get started with a nice, easy warm-up. If you haven't been doing your silly toes, anytime is the perfect time to start.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited. I wanted to, first was Ask Away. It's a live stream. Only happens once a week. And that time is here. And I wanted to start, though, with this totally amazing story about our friends over at Another Mother Runner and how they saved a holiday season and basically how they saved the Holiday Strength Challenge. So you might know, if you follow me on Facebook at all, that my holiday season did not get off to a really great start. I've been grieving the loss of a lifelong friend. In fact, the very first person who ever protected me from bullies. I originally wasn't going to do this live stream. And I was thinking of canceling the Holiday Strength Challenge altogether because I didn't think I would have enough strength to get myself through the holidays, much less you guys too. Then my husband handed me a package. And that package just changed everything. In that package was a note. MK found these in the stockroom, and we hope you can put them to good use with the athletes you coach and love. All best, Team AMR. It was 9 of these. And if you've been with us for a while, you know that these are some of the OG swag, coached and loved, or shoe tags that say coached and loved from my very first season with AMR, which looking back, I mean, it's honestly one of the happiest times of my life. It really and truly is. So I don't believe in coincidences. This feels like something Leanne would have done. And that was when I found my holiday strong. AMR showed me really what it was that I had to offer. And you reminded me again with this package. I am beyond grateful. I really am. So with that, we're going to be giving away this little mementos, these little pieces of the happiest period of my life. Because the holidays can be difficult. They're not always easy for everyone, and no one knows better than we do how much strength is required to get through this holiday season. It's already taken a lot for me to get through these past 3 days. So I'm committed to helping everyone around me find their holidays strong, and that is where the Holiday Strength Challenge comes in. We're going to be posting links to the landing page over on the Fitness Protection website during the broadcast. But you can see we already have a Facebook group you can join, and further instructions will be following. So apologize, guys. I had to read a script because I've been absolutely shattered these past few days. So with that, this is not a traditional holiday challenge. I'm not going to be using weights. I'm going to be teaching you all the tricks and tools that I learned in charm school when I was a kid to navigate passive-aggressive situations, unpleasant people, and exiting situations that I really don't want to be in. We have tons of prizes to give away, including earrings from Cocotte Design. Not this pair, though. I'm keeping those. And a mini Stairmaster. And a big box of hydration products from our friends over at Vermont Sticky. So, and much, much more. But most of all, we're going to be giving away these little mementos, these most important pieces of the happiest period of my life. And hopefully, if the holidays are hard for you, we're going to bring that happy right at your doorstep with a big old note from me. So with that, I would like to thank AMR, Dimity, and Sarah from the bottom of my heart. You had no way of knowing what this would mean to me when you put it in mail on Sunday, because we hadn't gotten the news yet. I wouldn't know till Wednesday. But I am so grateful. I feel coached. I feel loved, and I feel very, very seen. And that's exactly how I want to make everyone around me feel with this Holiday Strength Challenge. So with that, bear with me. There's more motion than I really wanted to show, but Coach Sarah could not be here tonight, and I knew that this live stream needed to happen. I don't believe in coincidences. Like I said, this joy was meant to be shared.
Warm-up is done. Feeling good. Heart rate hovering around 140. Now let's get into the heart of this podcast for the long run.
Now, at this point, we're going to be pivoting over to the Ask Away with Coach MK, the weekly Q&A live stream where I answer questions from everyone in my programs over at fitnessprotection.com. We're going to start with the weekly wins from people in Runner Interrupted. And Runner Interrupted is a support program to guide runners through long periods of not running. And we'll be taking questions from Rebuild, which is a program designed to help people with any modicum of running experience rebuild their running bodies as well as reestablish the running habit. And then we have Maintain, a program designed to help maintain some semblance of fitness year round. Because what are you going to do with all this fitness that you built up over a fall racing cycle? Hopefully parlay it into dominance in the spring. If you still aren't sure what you want to do, we'll be hosting a goal setting webinar on December the 6th. The details can also be found on the Fitness Protection website. So with no further ado, I'm going to get here to ask the coaches. Thank you, Emily. I love the AMR ladies too. That was really amazing. Thank you. And I'm glad we received this gift too. It's pretty incredible. So starting with, no weekly wins here in Runner Interrupted for this week, which is all good. So I'm going to make a couple of weekly wins up, and we're going to start with Philadelphia Marathon. Yay! We had people running it today. Two good friends of mine ran it, Ana Hernandez and Carrie Palmtier. Carrie had an incredibly strong race. She ran 3:26, even though it was cold, wet, and raining in Philadelphia. And for the record, Carrie has been training on Maintain for the past several months because she has a newborn baby and did not have the bandwidth to train what she thought was hardcore. I said, you know what? Hardcore training just means the training plan is not flexible. It does not guarantee performance. You're going to do great. You'll be close to 3:30. If everything goes well, you're going to surprise yourself. And I hope with that 3:26 carry, you absolutely did surprise yourself, because I remember how hard you worked for that 3:19. I remember how much stress and how nervous you were and how much of a perfectionist you actually are. You do everything to the T. You do everything right. And I could not be prouder of you for letting the reins loose a bit, doing the best you can during this really busy period. And I hope that you are as excited about this result as I am for you. Ana Hernandez also ran Philadelphia today and came in strongly, also having been on a plan similar to Maintain for the past couple months. And without really a huge marathon ramp, all we did was tweak her final 10 weeks to make it look something like our marathon plans, which we give away free to subscribers over at Fitness Protection. And she had a super strong race too, without sacrificing any of the fun stuff that she really wanted to do this year or needed to do as a parent this fall. Proud of both you ladies. Could not be more excited. And in case you were wondering who the last person to cross the finish line was, it was our girl, Emily Sorensen, showing us exactly that the party is in the back and everyone in the back needs to be put front and center. There you go. Emily, I could not be prouder of you. I'm excited for you. That is an honor. And we're going to see if we can get you interviewed by the Philadelphia Inquirer, because, you know, the people in the back do get a whole lot of attention in New York City. And I think they need that same sort of attention in Philadelphia too. I am proud. You are coached. You are loved. And hopefully you feel like you're winning at life and are drowning in amaretto sours right now. Here we go with Rebuild. Kaitlin Meisler ran a half marathon yesterday, and Ani Ross Grubb, one of our breast cancer survivors, ran a turkey trot yesterday as well. Yeehaw! Proud of you ladies. Way to go. Hopefully you're as proud of you as I am of you. That is really, really strong. In Rebuild, we don't specifically ramping people up to a half marathon, but a little bit of consistency goes a long, long way. I tell people all the time, you do not need a big, long, complicated plan to get ready, but there is a time and a place for it. But for most of us, it's just not year round. So I'm always thrilled to see that point proven with our clients. And it looks like we had several who did that today. So question one, tell me all the things about holiday strength. I'm really excited. Can you tell? I am too. And I'm trying really hard to focus on that right now with the bottom of my broken heart. If I can find enough strength to get through this day in this live stream, hopefully we're going to find enough ridiculousness, absurdity, and downright fun to get y'all through the holidays all the way through to Romuel, where we start roaring into the new year. So things you need to know with a $20 donation, there are two tiers. Tier 1, the $20 donation gets you into the challenge with the private support community, the daily live streams, and all the ridiculousness that goes along with it. And the tier 1 of prizes, which includes, but is not limited to, the OG amazing swag from the happiest period of my life, my very first season at Another Mother Runner. You are eligible for those prizes. Tier 2, that's a $45 donation. And those prizes are a little bit bigger and a whole lot more serious. We have a mini for domestic clients only. I'm checking out the international shipping on this, and it's just not going to fly. For the domestic clients, we will be raffling off a mini indoor step mill. We have earrings from Cocotte Design. You see me, I wear these earrings made by Coco every single week in the live streams, and I absolutely love them. They're expensive. She takes vintage pieces, like from Oscar de la Renta, vintage designer pieces, no less, and creates works of art. And we are going to be putting some more of her art into the hands of one lucky participant in the Holiday Strength Challenge. You do not need to be a subscriber to the Fitness Protection Program specifically to join the challenge. And the things that we're going to do aren't specific to any training plan. So you can easily add this into whatever plan you're currently on. The moves are designed to make you laugh through those moments that you'd otherwise probably cry through this holiday season. So those are the big things you need to know. And the charity of choice is Play University. Purposeful Play is an organization in Wisconsin after school program that helps alleviate some of the stress and burden that working families feel by giving their kids a safe place to play after school. So that bus that we're going to help them buy is going to carry them from school to the after school center that is owned and operated by Purposeful Play. So they do have a registered 501c3 arm. The donation link will be on the registration page. We ask you to do the same we did last year. We are not yet as an organization in a position where we can hold charitable donations. So we're going to ask you to make that donation directly to Play University, Purposeful Play, and then forward the confirmation receipt, just like we did last year. Forward it to info@fitnessprotection.com. And with that, we will reply with further instructions. But that is the long and the short of how you join the challenge and why you should. It's going to be amazing. Next question, 2 from Rebuild. I should have been paying better attention when you answered plantar fasciitis questions before. It came up for me during work travel, and I couldn't find a foam roller, so I did not run for 5 days. Goodness, since coming home, I've been doing the shin and cow foam roll moves a few times a day, using the therapist's thumb for a little extra and trying not to take a bunch of ibuprofen. I did a 30-minute walk today, followed by some foam rolling. Is a run walk a good idea while having plantar fasciitis? I don't have a PT on my care team yet. When do I know I need to stop at-home rehab attempts and get PT attention? Generally speaking, when we have to talk about what's blocking access, if you just haven't met a good or connected with a good PT yet, that's one thing. If you do not have access to health insurance or financially constrained in a way that would prevent you from seeing a PT, that's something different. So if we have financial, we're going to start with if you don't have financial or like insurance type constraints on your ability to see a physical therapist, I'm going to ask that you go in network and as well as your Google. The Google is an amazing thing, and find a physical therapist in your area. Very, very, very few states continue the requirement to get a referral for physical therapy. So most states you are able to walk in and be seen. Maybe not seen on the spot. You got to call and schedule, but you will not specifically need a referral in order to be seen and treated by a physical therapist. So start there. They're like, when do I need to get one? If you've been having plantar fasciitis, if it's not feeling better after 72 hours, I recommend getting on top of that before it gets worse, because 5 days, frankly, is long enough to not be moving. And I don't know if you've heard, holidays are kind of stressful and you might want the excuse to get out of the house. I can help you stretch out a turkey trot, take up 8 hours in a day with all the things you need to do to warm up and cool down. Whew! That's a whole lot, but they're all centered around running. So that whole thing's going to fall apart if we can't actually use that excuse to get you out the door. Got to keep that excuse going. So let's get you in to see someone as quickly as possible. I think 5 days is long enough to be in pain. I frankly think 2 days is long enough to be in pain. Now, if finances are constrained, if insurance is constrained, if you live in, unfortunately, in one of those states that does require prior authorization and getting in around the holiday season to get that approval or get that referral is going to be tedious and complicated. That's a different situation altogether. With that, use your best judgment. You're aware of what's going on in your bank account and what your constraints are better than I am. So my advice is always, if you can, do. If you can't, do the best you can and don't worry about it. I never get angry with people for not going immediately. but I also don't see the point in being in unnecessary pain. So think about the why, think about what's actually stopping you, and start there and work your way forward. But I would always say if you're able to, the sooner the better when you are in pain. So if you can, immediately. If you can't, let's do the best we can and email me for further instructions. Next question. How fast do tendons and ligaments lose their crucial adaptations? Good question. And how long do they take to build back up? Longer than you would think. I'm just wondering if a month away from running equals a month in rebuild, basically. Yep. I kept my fitness with cross training while I wasn't running and making sure I take it slowly so I don't get injured. Just wondering if there are any general guidelines about moving from rebuild into maintain after time off. So I would really hesitate to go directly from rebuild to maintain with a break in between. So we don't think about it in terms of like success or failure, passing or failing. The way that we really need to think about this is what kind of work am I ready to do? And if you needed to take a month off, then jumping back into maintain is just going to be a lot. The reason rebuild exists is to ease you back into anything without overdoing it. And if you've been away for a month and you feel like you need to play catch up and you're already mentally in the hole a little bit, then that is a recipe for disaster if you go directly over to maintain. So let's avoid disaster, especially during the holidays at all costs, and potentially another month off. So when it comes to cross training, the difference is this: the adaptations in your tendons, joints, and ligaments start to disappear almost immediately. There are many reasons why pros and elites will do multiple workouts per day, but multiple runs per day when there's plenty that they can do. And the reason that we prefer to get them on like the 0G Ultramill, the zero gravity treadmills, as opposed to just keeping them on the bike or in the pool, is again, weight bearing activity. Their ankles and those joints legit carrying their body's weight. It more closely mimics what they would be doing. So as I tell you that to tell you this, it does not going to hurt anything at all to do one extra month in rebuild after a month away. This is not a demotion. This is just sort of, let's be a little conservative and a little cautious, because it can't hurt to do an extra month of rebuild, but it absolutely could hurt to go directly into maintain too soon. The difference between week 4, lane 2 of rebuild and week 1 of maintain is minimal. But the difference between week 4 of maintain and week 4 of lane 2 of rebuild and week 4 of maintain is maximal. Most folks will go directly into maintain and follow the instructions in the members area of the website and repeat week 1 over and over and over for their first month. So if mentally you can handle that, do, but let's give it at least one more week in rebuild, because option 2, if you can do week 1 of maintain over and over and over, you can also do week 4 of lane 2 of rebuild over and over and over. So maybe we do that. Maybe you don't have to progress all the way through rebuild. How about we start with, give me minimum 2 weeks of lane 2, week 4 of rebuild, and then 2 weeks of week 1 maintain. With our guided DIY approach, this should be really easy for you to do at Fitness Protection. You have access to all the codes you need all of the time and can move back and forth between the two. Next question. This week absolutely was a scratch. I've been lane 2 and planning to go maintain next month. I've been doing okay this month up until now, feeling strong and comfortable with lane 2 work. I have a race on the calendar for the 1st of March. Should I continue taking another month in lane 2 or move over, even though this week was basically a complete loss? You've got so much time. You've got so much time. You know, I don't want you to think of anything you've done as a complete loss, right? Training is never wasted. So even if you didn't do anything this week, that's okay too. Like, first we got to break that mindset of like, I screwed up. No, you didn't. You were being a boss somewhere else. You're an adult. I trust your ability to adult. I trust your adult instincts. You should too. There is no guilt and no shame. Not here, not ever. So congratulations on doing okay this month. November is tough for everyone, especially if you've been dealing with the same sorts of things that my family has been this month too. So if lane 2 felt strong and comfortable last week, it's going to feel comfortable next week too. There is no pressure or impetus to jump further ahead than you need to. You are not now, and you never will be behind for something coming up in March. If you just heard, we had 2 people at the not at the beginning of the broadcast. That's when I was talking about another mother runner and their very generous donation that helped me find my holiday strong so that I could help you find yours. Immediately after that, went through the weekly wins and talked about some of the people who raced this weekend, and we had 2 people in rebuild who raced. So you're stronger than you think you are. Consistency 5 days a week goes further than any of us think that it will. It's not about the duration of your longest long run. It's about the strength of your core and your foundation and those crucial adaptations to your feet that make it possible for go longer than you've been planning to. So with that, you're not behind. Don't think about this as a loss. March is so far away. All you have to do is not stop. And all you did was go be a boss somewhere else for a week. You are fine. You're coached. You're loved. You're winning at life. Let's not worry about what we missed. The question is always, what do I want to do? What's my best next step? What's my best next step? What's my best next step? It sounds like your best next step might be another week in week 4 of lane 2 of rebuild. And don't look back and don't worry about it. We make nothing up. The reason we don't make anything up is to get rid of this notion that we need to, that we're behind, or that we're somehow in debt, because that is where bad decisions are formed. Final question in rebuild. Do you have any suggestions for improving whole body mobility? Yeah, my foam rolling routine. Whoop, whoop. I feel like I'm chasing the constantly moving injury. And while previous physical therapists have focused on strengthening, and it does help in the short term, the same injuries keep reoccurring. My new PT feels like spinal mobility is a major reason why these keep happening. I'm thinking that working on lower body mobility would probably help, but I'm not even sure where to start. Honestly, for number one, I'm not a physical therapist. This is not medical advice. The advice I always give people is to go see a medical professional immediately, someone who can touch you and evaluate you and has the toolkit to do that legally is where we need to start. And I have none of that. So all I like to do as your coach is give you guidelines and good common sense and promise not to line you up and judge your butts the way Salazar did to Jordan Hussein, the members of the Nike Oregon Project. If you saw in the Coached and Loved blog today, the top story was my interpretation of that and how that's just nonsense. It's not coaching at all. So I tell you that to tell you this, I know where my lane is and I'm going to stay firmly within it. And when it comes to spinal mobility, it's really hard to say. I get nervous with that phrase spinal mobility because there are lots and lots and lots of data points that become easy to fixate on, almost fad-like cadence. And this week, we had Alex Lanton on the podcast talking about the danger of one data point. If you've listened to the Running Life podcast, you heard us talk about all kinds of things in that podcast episode. And the danger of one data point was at the top of the list. So spinal mobility could be a major reason, but it probably is not the only reason. So it might be time to get another opinion in the mix. I always like to start with the physical therapist who also has the OCS certification. Bonus, if they are licensed for dry needling and manual therapy, that is the whole shebang. If they check all 4 of those boxes, you are good to go. If they don't, let's start with the OCS certification and move from there. Because I truly don't know much about spinal mobility other than what I read in the book Crooked, which is a fantastic book and well worth reading. But again, it still does not make me qualified to diagnose from over here. So it also kind of depends a little bit about the injuries that you're having. Again, I don't have enough information here to make any sort of judgment. But the biggest issue that I see in runners, the one that always is cause for concern for me, is not spinal mobility. It's foot mobility, it's ankle mobility, it's can you move these 2 toes independently? If not, you should be able to. And that's partially strength, partially instinct because you have to practice it. But also it gives me a good idea of what's going on in your legs. When it comes to your hands, if ever you've been to the manicurist and they massage you right here, see what my fingers are doing? They are moving without me thinking about it, without me trying. And that comes from manipulating these tendons, because these tendons move your fingers. That same phenomenon happens in your shins. You should be able to massage your shin all the way down with your toes moving involuntarily. I've done this in a couple of videos on our YouTube channel, on the Coached and Loved YouTube channel. Go to the one where I use the therapist's thumb. Start with our YouTube channel. I filmed that in my bathroom about a year ago, and it's really, really helpful. And you can see when I stroke my shin that my toes move independently, yours should be able to as well. So if that's not happening, I tend to default to that first because that's something that's really easy to fix. Other types of mobility are really tough to fix on your own, and I would never recommend attempting any sort of a fix without a PT. Final note on that, more laxity is rarely the answer. If you're looking at those little back stretchers that look like a bridge, an adjustable bridge that costs like $30 on Amazon, or a spine corrector, please do not make one of those purchases, self-diagnose and start using those. It's one thing if you're a physical therapist and your doctor who you have paid to evaluate you has told you to do that. It's another thing entirely if it was a suggestion made on a podcast by someone with medical degree who does not know you and is not talking to you. Those things, it's not that they're bad. It's just that they can do more harm than good. Specificity matters. Having tool is useless if you don't know how to use it and you don't have someone that in your best interest helping guide you through the process. So just about anything you would do to self-diagnose and treat spinal mobility on your own at home could absolutely do more damage than you think and can cause more problems than it could solve. So leave the spine mobility to your physical therapist. If the things that they're saying, go back and listen to the podcast with Alex Lanton. We give good guidelines to know when it's time to go get a new PT and when the work at your physical therapist office is no longer working for you. Follow those guidelines that we outline in the podcast and ask yourself, does this PT right for me? It might be time to find someone new. I'll end on this note. If you are leaving these sessions with more questions than answers, then that's a big red flag. So, all right, moving over to maintain. It was terrible weather in Philadelphia today. And Emily Sorensen, I cannot tell you how proud I am of you because that is such a big deal. It's not about where you finished. It's the fact that you finished when in the rain, in the wind, in the cold. 3 years ago, I ran a really strong marathon that I was so proud of there, and it was windy. I was mad for a really long time about all the minutes that wind stole from me. And I hear it was twice as bad as it was today. I did get off the course in 2016 before the worst of the weather kicked in. Anyone else who's out there for longer, I am in awe of you. You are tenacious AF, and that is why we named our marathon plan after you. Our marathon plans are called Tenacious AF, and I love that you wore your Tenacious AF t-shirt the whole way. There's something beautiful about that. I really need the race photo of you crossing the finish line, knowing you're the last person to cross the finish line in our shirt. That doesn't feel like coincidence either. That feels like Leanne, because but everything's going to feel like Leanne to me for a really long time. So there you go. I am super proud of you. I really hope you're as proud of you as I am of you, because I'm so proud of you, Emily. Oh my gosh. Trisha Thorne, you and Larzale ran the Philly half yesterday and did quite well, if I understand correctly. Again, proud of you ladies as well. Lana Nelson ran Route 66 today. Whew. Oh my goodness. I've said before that race is really difficult. And for me, an out and back where you can see the turnaround point from the start and the finish line from the turnaround point, that sounds hard. This is a flat race. It's known as a hilly race for the locals, but I think anybody else outside of the Route 66 area would definitely consider it to be flat. It is tough. You were tougher. Congratulations, Lana Nelson. And then Jackie Kearns ran the Fall Classic Half Marathon. Yay, all you guys. The fun part about this is our marathon plans are only 10 weeks long. More pressure and more stress, as Carrie and Anna came to realize today, does not necessarily guarantee a better outcome ever in a training plan. So why do more work than you have to? I say, find that sweet spot and stick to it. Good enough is great. We don't work harder than we have to in the fitness protection program. And that is why we PR all the time, is that we'd never, ever stop. Yay. It's easy to go hard. It's hard to go smart. Congratulations to everybody who continues to go smart each day. No question, but I just wanted to thank you so much for recommending a pelvic floor PT for stress incontinence. Yay! My doctor had recommended surgery. I went to the pre-surgical test, but asked about alternatives. He said I could try PT and recommended a provider. She's great. I've been going once a week and I'm so much better. I'm down to every other week now and getting better all the time. Thank you so much. You are so welcome. Gosh, thank you for going. God knows I don't like talking about my vagina any more than anybody else does. And I certainly don't like the idea of having to go for pelvic floor PT. So whenever I'd make the suggestion, I always say that knowing that the messenger is going to get shot. And God knows I've taken enough bullets this week. So thank you very much for following the advice. I am so glad it worked for you. Most of the people, not all, but the vast majority of the people who I know who have had stress or who have had incontinence related to pelvic floor weakness for a long period of time since in the postpartum period have been able to fix it in as little as 3 visits. Mostly 5, somewhere between 3 and 5, but gosh, that's worth it to me. Woo. Yay, but yay you. Hooray for good decisions. We love celebrating those. You always get an A for effort in the fitness protection program. And I am so incredibly proud of you. Thank you. And finally, it is great to know that people listen when I talk because I'm never quite sure what's happening. Yay. Still not running. I've been seeing a PT for what she's calling a hamstring strain, but I'm hoping to get back to running in a few weeks. By then, I will have had about 5 to 6 weeks off. Before that, I'd done maintain for 17 weeks, though I will admit that I skipped and short in the long run more often than I should have. Hey man, it's shaming to live in the should. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. My question is, when I get back into running, should I start again and rebuild? I'm assuming that's the way to go. And how many weeks? We'd love your advice on what I should do for the next month or so of getting back into it. So hamstring stuff is a really big deal. So I have 2 thoughts on that. A lot of times in postpartum women, what stuff that we think is in the hamstring or deep in the glutes, like high hamstring tendinopathy or pain around the ischial tuberosity, it's actually your pelvic floor. So if the symptoms do not go away, if the strain is not better in the length of time in which a muscle strain would normally alleviate, then we might need to turn to something else. It might not be a hamstring strain at all. So be open to that. You've got a little time to think about it. We're going to keep moving here. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm saying be open to the idea of that's what it could be, because we really want to get this fixed. When hamstrings talk, we listen. Listening to your body is the most advanced thing you can do. So I tell you all of that to tell you this. I have no idea how long it's going to take to get back in, but the best advice I could possibly give you is to do whatever your PT says to do. The thing that will get your hamstring the fastest or your pelvic floor the fastest, it's not jogging. It's intense running. It's 10K effort. It's hill repeats. It's anything hard effort. Not saying that easy effort is specifically safe. It's the intensity of your feet pounding the ground, the increased strike force with every step. That is more likely to re-damage your hamstring than anything else. So if we're going to err on the side of conservatism and continue moving, then we really need to do that as easy effort or recovery runs. So I'm less concerned with you in being in rebuild versus maintain, because like I said before, week 4 of lane 2 of rebuild is pretty much the same. It's only slightly less than week 1 of maintain. What I do advise you to do is cut out all intensity for at least a month, because you know what? You will not lose fitness. You are going to gain recovery, and we need a fully recovered muscle that can generate power to its fullest ability if performance or improvement or faster or whatever is what we're after in the long run. Realistically, what I'm after in the long run is metabolic fitness, and that comes from not stopping. So it's a long way of saying, tell you that to tell you this, you don't need to run hard. There's a time and a place for it. But you don't need the hard effort runs in rebuild any more than you need the hard effort runs in maintain. What you need to do is, I'm kind of indifferent which one you pick, because once we've taken out those harder effort workouts, the 2 look basically the same. Listen to your body though when you're out there. If it tells you that, oh, we're done and that problem's about to present 20 minutes in, ask yourself, did I get what I needed? And the answer is yes. Hear my voice in the back of your head saying, yes, you did. Cut it out. And then go home. Yay. Hello, beautiful coach. Any advice? I know she's talking to my earrings, and they are really pretty. I had to wear them. Just had to. Yay. And don't forget, we'll be giving away a pair of these. Not these, I'm keeping these, but it could look like them from Cocotte Design in our Holiday Strength Challenge. Do head over and join. Any advice for choosing marathon pace? I have the strength run coming up. I had planned to run the actual race with heart rate as my guide, but my watch has not been super reliable, and I think I may have to use other factors to guide me come race day. Thank you. Thank you. Well, my favorite factor is a new one. It's called power. And you're going to be hearing a lot more about that in 2020, because we got some tricks up our sleeve that we're going to be announcing in the coming weeks, but probably not till the first of the year. I love running with power, but power can only be accurately measured by a chip on your shoe. So if you have the funds available, it might be worth it, hint, 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 to go over to stryd.com, STRYD. I do have an affiliate link for that that'll get you, I think, 20% off. And with that 20% off, you can, I think it takes it down. Guys, I'm not even going to lie. I can't. I'm not in the mental space to do math. I'm lucky I'm wearing pants right now. It's the biggest discount you're going to get all year is through the combination of my affiliate link, and which I don't get a kickback for. They're just trying to measure how many people pay attention when I speak. And I'm like, yeah, that number always surprises me too. But so power is really the most reliable metric because it updates minute to minute. When it comes to heart rate, a whole bunch of things can go wrong with heart rate. I've talked about those in the past. So, and pace can be off because that's dependent on like connectivity to an event or to satellites. Power really is the best thing around. So if you can't afford a stride, go get a stride and then we'll talk. Next year, we're going to be rolling out a whole new series of options of how to train for, prepare for, and manage effort, consistent effort over time, as well as performance. And it's going to start and end with power. The biggest sale of the year is you think you might want to be part of that. You need to go get a stride now during their Black Friday sale, which just started yesterday, or you can email me. I will put you in connection with the company and you can tell them, like my coach said, and Coach MK said, email info@stride.com and say, Mary Catherine Fleming said I needed to get the best price possible, because that'll save me having to go find the link in between phone calls and reading all the tributes to my friend on Facebook. So email info@stride.com and demand the biggest sale that they're going to have. Demand the Black Friday sale pricing and make sure that they know that you're buying it because I told you to. So that really is the best and will be the most reliable factor to go with. Running by effort until we're as fit as an elite is really hard to do, because those neuromuscular patterns and connections to our brain, that muscles have memory, right? That can help you come back faster, but it can also hurt you during that comeback period. I've been doing this for a really long time. Even when I was running the New York Marathon, my pace was defaulting and quite comfortably towards what felt comfortable 3 years ago at the Philadelphia Marathon. Now I'm not fit enough to run that fast yet. And I wasn't on race day either, but I kept drifting that way because that's what my body is used to doing. That's the familiar rhythm and pattern. So catching myself before I was out of control, the only reason I was able to do that consistently was because I was running and training with stride. But we're going to have a podcast dedicated specifically to that coming out very soon. For now, if you can't afford it, if you have the funds, now's the time. Get yourself a stride. We're going to be talking about this more in the new year. Will you be required to use a stride in the new year? Never. I'm never going to ask you to spend more money than I think is necessary. I mean, I priced this at what I could have afforded back in 2013. I mean, that's $30 a month. That's the same amount of money I paid a sitter so I could talk to a coach who told me that I needed to go get a personal trainer before he could tell me how to run again. I'm sure that guy meant well, but I wanted a better answer than that. And I'm here to provide that answer to the world. So if you want it, if you can't afford it, go get it. Don't sacrifice anything to make that happen though. But depending on how we phrase the question, what's your needs set, what's your use cases and where your needs lie, it's a really good option to have if you can afford it. If power is not your thing, then here's a good guideline. You have spent a lot of time in this program oscillating between two effort levels. The 140, which is the easy effort run, paying attention to that cap, and hopefully you've been doing some runs the way I ask you guys to, naked, meaning you're not using any music for input. The reason that I need you to do that is so that you can feel those effort levels, so that you can match your footfalls with your breathing. And that is a really good double check to make sure you're not going into the red zone a little bit too soon. For a lot of us, that's the best we can do. A good way to double check it, even though it's not going to be accurate on a minute to minute basis because it does bounce around a lot, is with a pace cap. So if your heart rate cap is not helping and your pace is not reliable, like a stop clock's going to be reliable twice a day. A watch with pace on it is going to be accurate a little bit infrequently throughout. So instead of looking at it minute to minute, a good thing to do is take a look at your ongoing average pace versus your current pace. Have those two next to each other on your race watch, and then use 1 minute per mile faster than your 140 or / easy effort pace as a cap until after you've sufficiently passed the wall. Or if you're running the New York City Marathon like I was, you pass that point where everybody's crossing the road in the Bronx. You don't want to be getting an elbow. Learn that the hard way. I swear that is a different race experience. Every time I do it, it was always very consistent. It's different for being in the back or in the middle than it was the years I was in the front. Woo! Anyway, so if we can't have a guide, then we can't have bumpers and speed limits. And I would use pace as a bumper. The best bumper I can give you would be 1 minute per mile faster than your 140 pace. There we go. So I'm doing Tenacious AF ramp up for the Disney Marathon. Yay! The happiest place on earth. The majority of my runs have had to be done on the treadmill because of schedules and childcare. That's fine. I put the incline at either 0.5 or 1. I have done higher and used negative inclines on days that the plan has hills in the run. Do I need to be concerned about being ready for my marathon? Because I'm not sure when our family schedules will improve to do more runs outside. Let me tell you a story. I'm going to find it. Coach Sarah normally would be acting as producer and Googling everything I say and fact-checking and sharing links. At least to possibly 3 years ago, there was a dude who ran the ultramarathon in Chamonix, one of the hardest ultramarathons in the world, widely accepted as such. And the guy who won it works year round on a cruise ship and had done all of his training on a treadmill or running up and down the stairs in the cruise ship. So if that dude can get ready to run a marathon at altitude on a cruise ship, you're going to be fine at Disney. You like what you're doing is not less than. Give yourself credit for the work that you're doing. Yeah. I mean, is it perfect? No, but his wasn't either. And he still won. God knows what you can do. Don't discount yourself before you get started. Take a look at what the elites do and say, hey, anything is possible. Their lives aren't perfect. Yours doesn't have to be either. What are you there to get? Happiest marathon on earth and the happiest place on earth? Well, as happy as you could possibly be with the 2:30 a.m. wake up call. But no, barring all of that, what could go wrong that day is not going to be due to your training on a treadmill. It's going to be due to having to get up at 2:30 in the morning and resisting all the funnel cakes the 2 days prior. Because if you are not like me and you do not suffer from celiac syndrome or gluten allergy, then there's a whole bunch of good stuff to eat in Disney. And I hope you get to eat all of it. So your problem will not be the treadmill, it'll be the funnel cake in your belly from dinner the night before, because again, that's exactly what I would do. Hey, coaches, this is probably a segue for the goal setting session. Whoop, whoop. But if I sign up for slow burn first round and want to run a fun half with my BRF, likely to be slow around 2:45 to 3 hours the last weekend in March, any issues? Thanks again. So yay, if you sign up for the slow burn, there will be a discount code. By the final note about the Holiday Strength Challenge, 100% of your donation to that charity up to $45 can be applied in the form of a discount to slow burn. It's our newest upsell program, an 8-week-long strength running plan. If you subscribe to Running Life, the Fitness Protection Podcast, or if you don't want to subscribe, you just want to go in Stitcher and Castbox and look for the episode titled Slow Burn. You can learn a little bit more about the program. We beta tested it last year to amazing results. It was fantastic. And the only discount we're going to be offering on this program is for people who make this donation in order to participate in the Holiday Strength Challenge. So let's start there. You can get up to $45 off by donating to Tiff McDuffie's charity in Wisconsin. Yay. Now, moving on from that, slow burn is a whole lot of fun. It's 8 weeks long. And yeah, you absolutely could run a half marathon at the end of it. So even if it's going to be a slow marathon and it's not one for performance, all the better. That means you can't turn around and be like, I didn't have the best day ever, therefore this program sucks, which is not the way I want people to look at things. I want you to come out of this feeling strong. I want you to come out of this feeling focused. And I want you to have an alternative to just easy effort runs or really hard training in these tough winter months when it's dark, cold, and for a lot of us, icy outside, or better yet, we're stuck inside on a treadmill wondering if this is good enough. The answer is yes, it is good enough. Slow burn can be done outside, inside on a treadmill. It's really a terrific program. I'm excited about it. I've never sold anything quite like this before, and the results are exactly what you would expect. So there's no reason why you would not be able to do a half marathon in March after participating in slow burn. But still, it's worth it to join the webinar. We're doing goal setting sessions this year in webinar form. You can go register. You need to RSVP and we'll send you the link. This is a Zoom webinar. And if you go to fitnessprotection.com/events, you will see not just the Holiday Strength Challenge and instructions on how to join, but also the goal setting webinar that will be held on December the 6th. And finally, you might notice 3 days at the fair. We're going back. It's going to be epic, and we really hope you can join us. The reason we're going back to 3 days at the fair this year is because, once again, Susan sold me on this. I still don't know how she does it, man. That woman. Yay, Susan. Yay, you. Good job. I was like, give me one good reason why we should go back to 3 days at the fair. And she said, it's something our runners interrupted and rebuilders can still do. Okay, then you sold me. Well done, Susan. Well played. Well played. So we're all going back to the fair. If you think you might want to run an ultra distance at the fair, do let me know. I know we have several confirmed for 50 miles, several for 100 miles, and a couple of people, and this is something I had not thought about either, a couple of special cases. Got a person with Crohn's who aims to run 100 miles over 3 days, and I'm excited to make that happen. So I had never considered that before. This is one of the few ultras. She's like, this might be the only 100 miler I could ever do, because most 100 milers don't let you stop, sleep in a tent, take a shower, and then get started again with for real toilets every mile of the race. Again, kind of amazing. I had never thought of it that way, but between Susan and Erin, our Crohn's runner, and she gave me permission to identify her as such. That is the best idea ever. If any of this sounds appealing to you, email info@fitnessprotection.com. Let me know if you're thinking of doing anything ultra distance or longer, or one of the stacked race options. One of the things you can do is a marathon every day for 3 days. Let me know if you're considering any of those, and we'll be releasing those options at the first of the year. You do not need to commit any sooner than February the 6th for distances up to 50 miles. Anything longer than 50 miles, I really need to know, unless you think that's going to be split up over days. If you're trying to do 100 miles in 36 hours or less, then that is a sort of, or 100 miles in one fell swoop without stopping. That's something I need to know sooner. But why would you do that here? Go do that somewhere pretty. This is about getting to do something in a way that you would never get to do it anywhere else. So I tell you that to tell you this, slow burn will get you ready for all of that. You can absolutely do slow burn and still run a 50 miler. You can do slow burn and still run a 100 miler. We'll talk through all the options at the goal setting sessions and the webinar on December the 6th. It's free. And you don't have to be a paid subscriber to join us for the webinar. Why wouldn't you? Come ask me questions. Hit me. And I guess it's kind of bundled in. When do we start training for 3 days at the fair? I don't want the race to fail without me. The race is advertising that it's selling out. I have not gotten confirmation from anyone on how many spots they have sold. They've also never sold out before. So fill up quick. We're half sold out is a marketing line that should be familiar to you guys by now. And it's designed to get you to pull the trigger sooner than you may be ready to, because at least you'll have the option. So you know what? Let's play into that. If you think you might do it, go ahead and commit. You can always get a refund. The refund period is still open. So if you're truly worried about the race filling without you, then yeah, I say go ahead and snag your entry. And it's not too soon to go ahead and get in that habit. I shudder at the thought of waiting till the last minute to start. We can slide through the holidays with the Holiday Strength Challenge and maintain. It's not about doing everything perfectly. It's about not stopping. If we can just not stop, it'll make it that much easier to start when January comes around, because then we will be ahead of that feeling that tells us that we're actually behind and that we're starting from a disadvantage and that we're playing catch up. That feeling can and probably will last all the way till race day. Let's not start this year feeling off behind. Let's go ahead and get and maintain, declare intent, show up to the webinar on December the 6th, and I'll tell you how to sew together all of our resources to make 2020 the best year yet. Plus, gosh, even if you bought every program that I had, the most you could possibly give me is like $500. Speaking of that, we are going to be giving away 1 year's membership and free entry to one of the slow burn sessions to one lucky participant in the Holiday Strength Challenge. So if you're not ready to commit to 3 days at the fair, let's go ahead and commit to the Holiday Strength Challenge and commit to your intent to win all of the prizes we have to offer.
Woo! Hard work is done, but you know that the run doesn't end until you have a nice cool down and get on that foam roller.
Y'all know, if you trained with me last year, while I was getting ready to leave another mother runner, man, that was a period of sadness where I never thought I would feel good again. And I kind of felt that this morning before I got this package. And I think about how cool it is to have a plan and to have hope. And that really is the greatest gift I can give you guys over the holidays. During that holiday, I had all kinds of stuff that I gave away. I gave away prizes every single day. I asked people to do ridiculous things and post pictures on Facebook and on Instagram and use hashtags. And we had the best time on the way out the door. I don't know about you, y'all, but I really need some magic this year. And I intend to recapture and try to recreate every bit of that magic this year in the fitness protection program. None of this would be happening today, again, without this amazing package. Thank you, Dimity. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone at Another Mother Runner. And I thank all of you for being so patient with me while I read the script and stare and grab my hands and shake and try to get through this broadcast that I wasn't going to do and the challenge that I wasn't going to hold due to all the events that have been compounding my life in this past week. I am going to be taking a day or two off for self-care. So Coach Sarah will be back on taking care of everyone tomorrow. But just know that no matter what happens, you're coached, you're loved, you're winning at life. I really do hope to see you in the Holiday Strength Challenge. I really do hope to see you in Slow Burn and in our webinar. And more than anything, I hope that you guys have something as cool as this to cling to this holiday season that reminds you of the happiest period of your life. Thanks again.